Well, g'day, folks. How are you? Been a couple of days. Sorry about that. I did tell you that early June might pose us a few problems around here. So not so much problems, but just had to take care of a few things for the last few days. I hope you understand. Thursday night wasn't even around here. Friday wound up having some people that turned up and wound up helping them out until all hours of the night. And today I've spent an amazing afternoon or morning and afternoon with Paul Offey from the Freedom Truck as we put together some paperwork for him as we progress forward to his Supreme Court case, which will come up in the latter part of this year. Not terribly exciting stuff, all in all, I got to tell you, but interesting to read some of these statements and whatnot that have been made, for sure. Evening, J1, second one in the room tonight. No, first one in the room. Look at you. Go hard. What's the newsflash? Doherty Institute's made an almost unfathomable discovery. Garlic is 99.9% effective against the big bad yeah, that thing. Well, the Doherty Institute have got a lot of things that they've made discoveries for in the past. And in fact, more things are being discovered about the Doherty Institute as we speak. More on that coming up. Of course, you will recall the Aussie Cossack did break the story that they were taking blood products out of the Ukraine, amongst other things. Well, that was alleged by him at any rate. Hello, Margot. Hello, Toxic Q. Aussie Sue's in the room. Daniels and Sandy. Hello, darling. I hope you're back in after the washing has been done up. Why haven't you got Baz doing that? Veronique. Good evening to you. Silver Girl, howdy. Dave-O, hope you're going all right, mate. Beautiful day in my part of the world. Hope yours was all right. Good evening to the Roys. Keefe. Cam, the man. Cam, apologies. I was going to try and get up to the first My Place meeting in Nambour, which happened today. I think it was at 10 o'clock this morning. I do hope it went well, Cam, and you had a few bodies floating up. I know there's a lot of interest on the Sunshine Coast to get a My Place happening. And, well, there's a lot of interest all over Australia, as you can tell by just going to myplaceaustralia.org and have a look at how many places there are across Australia right now. Darren Bergwerf has to be very proud of what's being created there at the moment. He's doing great things. Sunflower, you wonderful lady. She's greeting everybody tonight. That's bloody awesome. I hope you are having a lovely time up there on the sunny coast or the northern end of it. Good evening, Paul. Hope you're all good. Richard, nice to see you in the house. Brett, Spring Tree. Oh, I'm going to say good day to everybody I haven't seen before. Peter, the Galactic Larrikin is in the house. I know he's single tonight. You're doing your pink hand wave. You couldn't have done a more masculine thing. Just saying. He's going to hate me for saying that. Sorry, mate. Sandra is in the house. Vicky is in the house. Daryl. God, there's a whole heap of new names that I haven't seen in here too. G'day, Dan Tilders. Nice to see you in, mate. Hope things are going well with you. And Sonic, amongst others. Had 36 very excited people. That's great, Cam. Pleased to hear that. And had I done a show last night, would have given it a huge plug. You might have maybe got one or two extras, but let me know when the next meeting's going to be, and we'll certainly plug that one, and I'll do everything I can to get along to that too. I believe there are a couple of new My Places firing up on the Sunshine Coast. I want to say Caloundra was one of them. I know there's one in Noosa and potentially Perigian, somewhere around there. Maybe I'm a bit wrong. I'll dig deeper into that, but that's a great effort, Sunshine Coast. Great effort. And they are popping up all over the Gold Coast as well, I'm led to believe, but they are sort of being driven by the first one. So great stuff, people. Stick together and we can only but grow. Given what I've been part of for the last 3 days, I haven't caught up with absolutely everything that is happening. I do have a few interesting little things that have come past me that I thought you might be interested in. Now, if you're eating dinner at the moment, and if you're watching this live, you may, I don't know, want to blank out the next minute and a half or so. I'm going to play you a video. It's about some pills that were found. I believe they were found somewhere in Korea, South Korea. But have a listen to what they found in the pills.
South Korea reports seizing thousands of smuggled drug capsules containing an unusual added ingredient. the powdered flesh from dead babies. Some people believe they can cure disease. The Korea Customs Service says they were made in northeastern China from babies whose bodies were chopped into small pieces and dried on stoves before being turned into powder. But they wouldn't say where they believe the babies came from or exactly who made the capsules, citing possible diplomatic friction with Beijing. The contents, though, were identified by scientific testing.
When we analysed it, the powdered material sequence is better than a 99.7% match with a human DNA sequence.
No one's been reported ill from ingesting them, but scientist Shin Woo-gi warns they have the potential to be dangerous.
We also see superbacteria and other germs and viruses harmful to a person if consumed.
Some of the capsules were carried in luggage. Others were sent by international mail. The smugglers told customs officials they believed the capsules were ordinary stamina boosters and didn't know the manufacturing process. One official said no one's been punished, but a customs clearance director at Incheon Airport warned consumers should be careful about health food supplements where the ingredients aren't clearly marked. Karen Sloan, The Associated Press.
I hope that didn't spoil the meal you were eating. Now, that's just one shipment that they got in South Korea. How many pills are made in China and shipped to Western countries? Have a think about that for a minute. Because we used to think we had a pill manufacturing facility here, quite a large one. I think certain companies have started to maybe reinvest in that area. But I know for a long time, many of the medicines and medications that were packed in blister packs particularly were all done in China, made in China. It is possible, I guess, that such contaminations, if that's what it was, not a deliberate move, have been made into other sorts of pills. And unless you're going to get everything tested, how the hell would you know? Quite an awful thing to discover, though. Absolutely awful thing. That's an interesting one there. Let me just see Alex, or expanded awareness, rather. I think I have got that particular thing to which you speak. Let me just see if I've got it here somewhere. Oh, maybe I have it there. There you go. Let's have a look at this. So that might be the document that you are referring to. That is the media release that Malcolm Roberts put out. So it appears, and let me just pull this out and put it on a different screen so I can blow it up a bit and read it to you. Oh, shit. Don't know what I did there, but I've made it go very small. All right. Now, blow that up. Stunning evidence to parliamentary hearing late last night has seen Australia's Department of Health Secretary Brendan Murphy admit that the vaccine mandates are unjustified. The backflip comes after months of questioning over the efficacy of the vaccine's ability to stop transmission. Senator Roberts said One Nation has always maintained that vaccination should be a personal medical choice and never mandated by the government or an employer. Finally, Professor Murphy has accepted the science. With the vaccines unable to stop transmission, vaccine mandates cannot be justified. This is too little too late for thousands of people who have suffered life-changing injuries as a result of mandates or lost their livelihoods because of their choice to remain unvaccinated. As Professor Murphy, one of the highest health officials in the country, said in his evidence, mandates are no longer justified. The government must immediately act to end all vaccine mandates still in effect at government workplaces and immediately act to pass One Nation's vaccine discrimination bill so no further harm is done to the private sector. So a bit of a win, you would have to say, for the good senator. And we know that they have had all sorts of legal advice. And when I say they, I mean the government. We know they've had all sorts of legal advice. That's why the government never came out and made any legislation. The argument the government side will have is that we never mandated anything. They mandated business to do stuff. Business had to do things. And then they protected themselves because they've made legislation whereby business can't come back at them and say, oh, but you made us do that. No, it was up to the business, your individual business, if you're a business owner. It's up to you to find out the laws pertaining to that. And there are some very, very interesting and detailed laws about that. In fact, I might have one or two of them just floating around here. There is a high court decision that came down, I want to say, in 1945. This is the document that I'm referring to. And it is a high court not a referral, it's a judgment that has been handed down by, I'm just going to punch that comment out. It's been handed down by C.J. Latham, that is Chief Justice Latham of the High Court, AG versus the Commonwealth, and this is a constitutional argument. This document reads, under Section 51(9) of the Commonwealth Parliament, it has power to make laws with respect to quarantine. Quarantine legislation may be regarded as most, if not all of its aspects in this particular form are public health legislation. In relation to quarantine, the Commonwealth Parliament has full powers of legislation. It can not only provide the money that shall be spent upon quarantine, it can devise and put into operation a whole compulsory system of quarantine, under which duties can be imposed upon persons and penalties inflicted for breach of the law. But in relation to other aspects of public health, the Commonwealth, once again leaving out the account of the territories, has no such power to legislation. The Commonwealth can, in my view, authorise the expenditure of public money on inquiries, investigations, research and advocacy in relation to matters affecting public health. But the Parliament could not pass a law requiring citizens of the states to keep their premises clean or to submit to vaccination or immunisation. And that goes back to 1945. It's a significant finding in the High Court, creates precedent. It's a very difficult precedent to buck. So I give us some level of hope in the future, near future, that we are going to see some crippling court cases come our way, particularly for big business employers in Australia. If you kept or sacked a person because they refused to go and get the jibbity jab, if you refused them to come to work because they wouldn't get the stick up the snout, then you are facing some serious charges. If you issued a mandate to your workforce that they must go and get the spicy dart, then you are responsible for them for life. Should it be proved that any health complaint brought on post the spicy dart was caused by it. And there is so much evidence of that coming out now. What was I reading today? 416,000 excess deaths in the United States of America alone at the moment. 416,000. Ours are approaching 60,000 unexplained deaths. Now, why aren't the media talking about that? Why isn't the media talking about that? I'll tell you why. It's because the government wouldn't like them talking about that, and they haven't received their 100% tax rebate yet. That's why. So the media aren't going to open their mouth and say anything, chase anything, investigate anything until the government comes good with their 12-month 100% tax rebate. I got to say, the media, the mainstream media are just corrupt bastards. And if you are thinking about calling up your local talkback radio station tomorrow morning, maybe you're in Sydney, maybe in Melbourne, maybe it's Ben Fordham, maybe it's Neil Mitchell, maybe it's, I don't even know who works on 4BC in Brisbane these days. They've been doing so much networking. So there may not be a local. I know there is in breakfast, but after that, who knows? Sophie, I want to say that Sophie works in the afternoons on 4BC these days. So maybe you can give her a call and see what she thinks about that. You know, is it fair that the media doesn't get to pay tax for 12 months or pays tax and gets it all back when your business that suffered so badly during the lockdowns and associated other intrusions that government made into your life, is it fair that you don't get 100% tax back rebate for 12 months? Why is it the media are special and get it? Considering they're already given about $32 million as a top-up for the money they lost during advertising during the COVID period, during the lockdown. Not too many businesses were open, so not too many big points in advertising it. So I don't know. Getting worse. Speaking of getting worse, it's got worse for Jamie Foxx. Did you hear a few weeks ago? Jamie Foxx went down badly. Hospitals, lights and sirens after he was jabbed for his whatever time it was. Well, it's got worse. Now paralyzed and blind from a blood clot in his brain. Now, those sources are family sources. They are very close to him and they are very angry at what's going on. So this is a particularly horrific result for a bloke who has obviously thousands of fans around the world, partially paralyzed and blind after the jab. I want to say he was named on the Epstein flight logs, but I might be wrong there. So forgive me if I am. But interesting that sort of thing can happen. Also interesting, this one. Institutional kitchens are being warned to have food sorted out for 10-day disruption in the supply chain. Now, this came out yesterday, day before, a couple of days ago. This is an American article, but I have been asking around in certain areas of our institutionalized kitchen business, if you like. And there are also some warnings coming through of disruption to the supply chain and better have extra stuff on standby. Now, that is just from one section of the community that definitely requires to have enough food, because if they don't, there is no option for anybody to go out and get anything, particularly any of the people living in that particular institution. So, yes, we think that might be happening in Australia too right now. Dates of interest in the report coming out of America, and I think this was one of the Voice of the People articles, maybe, really making sure, pushing it, that you make sure you've got enough food to get you through a 10-day period. Now, the NATO exercise in Europe from June 12 to 24 near the Ukrainian conflict, if that goes hot and there's some sort of massive exchange with Russia, that's when we might expect some kind of a supply chain deficit, if you know what I mean. It could be that trigger event we're looking for. And the NATO exercise, if you are unaware, NATO have been training 60,000 or more troops. I want to say it's in Poland or somewhere close, using NATO equipment /American /British /French /German equipment, and teaching Ukrainians how to use that equipment. There is this big exercise coming up June 12. It's a 2-week exercise. How crazy would they have to be to run that side by side with the Russians, within a artillery shell's distance over the border? But It does look like that's the kind of thing they are doing at the moment. I would suggest that the next few weeks, particularly around Ukraine, Russia, Poland area, watch NATO. They're going to be pushing very hard to have a big war. And unfortunately, I think they're finding they're losing support hand over fist in many, many, many areas for it. Donald Trump's been very active. Big speech day before yesterday, and a very positive speech, a very uplifting speech for Americans. In fact, very uplifting for the world, I would say. My plan is over the next day or two to cut some of that out, and I'll bring it to you. We'll be able to have a bit of a comment on it. He was quizzed about what was going to happen with the trans laws that were being enacted in the US and associated other things. He made it very clear that he was going to be acting against those and anything else that impacted on the quality of family. Just as I heard that bit, this popped up on my screen. I was scrolling through, I think this came off Facebook. Now, I didn't click on the ad to find out what they were. I just took this screenshot, got distracted, went off, did something else. But as my daughter put it, that thing on the left there looks like it has what did she call it? A baboon's prolapsed arsehole hanging out of it. Those of you who've met my daughter will understand her turn of phrase. And those things on the right, I mean, I'm not exactly sure what you do with those. I'm not completely sure that maybe they're not pornographic, but I am struggling to figure out what the hell they are. Maybe you have some idea. But what these pants on the left, I mean, what possible use could I ask? And could they have got a worse pink bit to put in the middle? Just some of the questions that we are run by. Oh, the one on the left is cyclist shorts, says Phil. You mean that pink bit's meant to be in there? Is that pink bit not filler? That'd make a lot more sense. But why does it have to look like, as my daughter put it, a baboon's prolapsed arsehole? Surely. Oh God. Yep. Thanks, Apache. Thanks. So yeah, Bill, you think that they're sexy? That's pretty good. I don't know what you turned on about. Is it the thing on the left or the right, Bill? I don't know. Each to their own. You know, I got no problems with that, Bill. Not want to put any kind of aspersion upon you. Not casting any plastic into your mouth or anything like that. But bloody hell. So yeah, that's yeah. Obviously, people in many areas are learning about their local councils' dreams and aspirations for 15-minute cities. Councils all around the country, including the Blue Mountains Council, which up until recently has been working with its community, now is absolutely, it seems, scared of them. They are non-responsive. They are locking locals out of the local meeting and incorrectly blaming certain organizations for fanning the flames or whatever. It's nothing like that. People have questions. The people who elected the councillors have questions on the decisions they are making. It is that simple. The mayor should stop faking that he's busy and start talking to the people who elected him. That goes double, triple the same for everybody, every mayor in every town, in every council area. Everyone, shire presidents to mayors, because I know there are still some shires around that probably don't have mayors, but you'll have a shire president. That's the same thing. So God, if you are petrified of the people now while you are trying to instigate these 15-minute city programs, are you hoping that once you've got enough of the program in, it will be the program that protects you from the people? Because I don't know where you've grown up in the world, but if you keep ignoring the people who want to come and civilly speak, have their say at a local council meeting, and the local councillors keep telling lies, keep grasping at straws, keep making up fantasies about threats or feeling threatened or feeling intimidated. We don't really care about your feelings. You weren't elected for your feelings. You were elected to do the right thing by the people. Now, whether or not the people had their eyes wide open when they were electing you, because let's face it, local council elections are often seen by Australians as a complete and utter waste of friggin' time and a pain in the ass. Most people only turn up if they are locally politically awake to vote for a candidate because they happen to know them. How many local council elections do you do? Oh, well, righto, yeah, okay, I'll go down and vote for whoever is the bloke in my ward or my area. Having never seen that person, never recognised them in the street, much less them you, never had a conversation with them over the bananas and coals, and yet you're prepared to put them into a position of power over the community. Wake up, folks. Got to stop electing these tards. Got to stop doing it. And that's where places like my place are finding really good people that you can put into these positions at the next council elections. And the people will be watching the election process. Not that anyone has any faith anymore in the election process in this country. Bring on blockchain elections, for God's sake. The AEC cannot be trusted. The political parties cannot be trusted. I don't know that the scrutineers or the counters or the whoever the hell it is can be trusted. I don't know that the machines doing the counting can be trusted. I don't know that the AI behind it all can be trusted. In fact, bring on blockchain. That's about all we can do. Bring on bloody blockchain. Forest of Fallen is coming to Toowoomba next weekend, Elizabeth says. Get me some details on that, Elizabeth. And I'll see whether or not I can't give you a little bit of a push. There are plenty of Forests of the Fallen happening around the country at the moment. I want to say in Rockhampton the other day, I'm going to be stretching the memory here. I want to say there were 230 in the Forest of the Fallen in Rockhampton when we were up there a fortnight ago. Sad, tragic. Obviously, Canberra had many, many more. There were many in the Forest of the Fallen in Canberra. In Melbourne, I think that's over 800 now that they're putting out. There are obviously plenty I've missed at the moment, but there are huge numbers. And that is because our unexpected death rate is through the roof. How many funerals have you been to this year, folks? Ask your friends who don't understand what's going on and still doubt that there is some kind of battle happening. Ask them how many funerals they've been to this year or in the last 12 months. Ask them how many they normally go to in 12 months. One or two? Usually not too many more than that, unless you're having a really bad year. But, there are plenty of people been to 6 or 7 already this year. This is terribly, terribly sad. And it's not going to get any better. Thankfully, it looks like Senator Roberts and Senator Antic are both pursuing the bureaucrats involved. I've been watching a lot of Senate testimony. They are in Senate estimates and able to ask certain questions of certain people, including the health minister and amongst others, the bureaucrats behind putting some of these decisions together that kept us locked down. It's a long and slow process to do this through a parliamentary process, but it's a bit like the legal mill. You know what they say? The mill grinds exceedingly slowly, but it grinds exceedingly fine. That is what they are essentially doing in Parliament. And you'll see them, asking questions they all know the answers to and know they're not going to get a straight answer to. But this is leaving a paper trail. This is leaving an evidence trail that they were asked and they lied, or they were asked and had the opportunity to tell the truth and they obfuscated or didn't tell the whole truth or didn't come back with the answers as they had given an undertaking to do under oath. Everything in those Senate estimates is done under oath. So keep watching that space. I think the senators are working that pretty hard, and I have sent through channels a request to both Senator Roberts and Senator Antic to start prosecuting the Australian Federal Police representative, Reece Kershaw, I think his name is, the commissioner there, and the head of ASIO, Mr. Burgess. More questions for them about our involvement with Five Eyes and exactly what information the FBI, now proven to be corrupt beyond anyone's expectation, but corrupt from the top down to significant levels, certainly levels that would have been involved in the information sharing process within the Five Eyes platform. And we would like to know exactly what trust levels and why the Australian Federal Police would have any trust in information passed down by the FBI, given that it has been proven to be so fraudulent, so fake, so corrupted. We would like to know what actions the AFP took on information the FBI passed down to them that has been proven fraudulent, fake, and deceptive in every way. We would like to know what actions the AFP took in relation to their own investigation into that information that was shared from the FBI. And I think we would like to know all communications between the AFP and the FBI regarding the Alexander Downer, George Papadopoulos conversation. I think we would also like to get some indication of what involvement the Department of Foreign Affairs had, and for that matter, Malcolm Turnbull at that time. What communications there were between the Ponzi Downer and the equally Ponzi Turnbull, and what plans were hatched, what emails there are, what paper trail. Because between the time of the Papadopoulos Downer conversation and the AFP telling the FBI about that conversation, there's about a 4-month lapse. So what happened in that 4 months? I'd be very interested if the senators could ask that and other questions to both the head of ASIO and the head of the AFP, should they get the opportunity to call them in front of estimates, because they're not going to give us the answers. As you saw the other day, they've replied to my email request for an interview rather succinctly and said, no, we can't facilitate that. I was going to go and send the Galactic Larrikins down to do a face-to-face, but no, you could go and stand out the front there all day and they're not going to talk to you. Pretty piss poor. Angela, Southern Grampian Shire is pretty woke. I think they're all pretty woke. Are they doing drag queen fairy tale time in your local council halls? I mean, I can see that happening around Halls Gap, a bunch of drag queens sitting around outside there, ducking koala shit and spinning their stories. Very unpleasant. Hey, yeah, Bill, you're right. Blockchain election, far too transparent, but the people would love it, wouldn't they? And it will be exactly what the people need going forward. We have, thankfully, somebody's waking up to themselves. I saw an American police officer today release a video to his police colleagues around the country, urging them not to do the bidding of their officers, their higher-ups, if those orders are against the Constitution. He outlined a number of different ways forward, ways that they could maybe lessen the fallout, but he was quite adamant that all police officers should be obeying the Constitution and not obeying the illegal orders that are being handed down by some of their bosses. And those bosses should be taken in cuffs and put in a cell and dealt with at the appropriate time for trying to issue orders. It doesn't matter what rank he said, you've got to stand up to it. You've got to stand up to it. So it's good to see one bloke starting the ball rolling in America. Can we get an Australian policeman to do the same, I ask you? I doubt it. Not on current form, but who knows? A current serving police officer in uniform coming out with that kind of a message would be very, very powerful indeed. So if you know one, mum or dad, if you know one and they're prepared to come out and speak, love to hear them. Make a statement like that. It's a very powerful, powerful thing. Philip Schofield news. Yes. So, yes, it turns out, alleged, what I've heard is Philip Schofield took in or met a young guy. Schofield says, I think he was 15 when he met him. And the kid expressed some desire to get into the television game. The kid, at whatever age, did get into the television game, presumably after he was 16, because Schofield made the point that he was legal. So he got into the TV game, became Schofield's personal assistant. And then Schofield began lying about their relationship, not only to his wife, but to his colleagues at ITV and everywhere else as well. There is new information coming out today that is unverified that alleges that child might have been as young as 9 years old when Schofield met him. If you are unaware, Philip Schofield's brother, I think, is going to jail or is in jail currently for child pedophilia or molesting children. There are accusations that it was something the Schofield brothers did together from a very young age, but I'm not sure if any of those allegations have been proven as real, let alone prosecutable. There have been some very serious allegations leveled against him in the UK by, I think it's 2 or 3 young men, but publicly those details haven't been released yet, and I'm not unsure whether or not they will be, I guess. Schofield has done an interview with the BBC in the last 48 hours or so, 36 hours, where he looks mournful. He looks like he's had his soul sucked out of him, which of course he probably has, but was it by a 12 or 13-year-old boy? That is the question. He is looking very down. He is raising concerns for his mental health, if there weren't enough already. But he has said he has considered committing suicide on more than one occasion in the last week. So I dare say somebody will be on Phil watch, trying to make sure that doesn't happen for whatever reason. Now, at this stage of the game, as far as I am aware, there are no charges leveled against Philip Schofield. The young man concerned, the other half of this, if you like, is not at all interested in levelling charges or having any kerfuffle about it whatsoever. He and Schofield are not together anymore and haven't been for a little while. So I don't know. This is just a public assassination of his professional career. And while it may well be very distasteful to us all, yes. But so far, the only stories are of, I think it's 2 other people who've come out and said that they believe they were touched up in some way by this fella. And should those allegations be proved true and more people come out of the woodwork and more of those allegations are proved true, then yes, we might have a Jimmy Savile 2.0. the sad thing about that is if some information is to be believed about the royal family, Charles would be Jimmy Savile's 2.0 and this bloke would be 3.0. But it seems like there's a big gap there in the years. Anyway, somebody asked me the other day whether or not there were pedophiles in the Australian media. Look, I have no doubt there probably are, but I can't point to one. I remember having a conversation many years ago with a famous Australian TV producer who had been working in the industry for many, many, many years by the time I met him. Now, he was working at the time on one of the most successful television shows in Australia, had been running for that stage, I want to say, 20 plus years. And it had some hurdles thrown at it over the time, including significant time changes and slots. But they fought on. And I was talking to him. He was an interesting old school Australian TV producer, and there was something not quite right about it. Never got the feel for it. Got the idea that favors could be done if I was prepared to do favors, that kind of thing. Thankfully, the opportunity never presented itself to go further either way. And I wasn't interested, obviously, in doing those sorts of favors. Many years after that, I was speaking to another senior Australian TV producer, this guy involved in motorsport, and it was about the time that the Rolf Harris thing was blowing up. And I said to this fella, "Oh, you worked with him, didn't you, back in the day?" And he said, "Oh, yeah, me and the fella I've just spoken to you about, the other TV producers. Yeah, we all knew it was going on." He said, "You all knew something was going on with Rolf, but, what could you do? He was the biggest star in Australia at the time, and we were only young and, just at the beginning of their careers sort of thing." So, yeah, I do understand, but there were other people there, senior people, who knew exactly what was going on. Many of those people were obviously at the ABC and entrenched at the ABC in the programming departments there, programming and production departments there. And we also know that there are other ABC presenters of the time that potentially raise some questions. Why didn't any of those senior producers behind the scenes in the day come out and protect the girls or boys that were being hurt? What are the producers of Countdown worried about? Because Countdown on the ABC was pre-recorded. To get into there, you really had to be between a certain age. And let's say that age, I can't remember exactly, but it might have been 12 and 16 or 15. Because they just wanted screaming girls with tears in their eyes in the front rows. Now, if we were going to talk about Jimmy Savile 2.0 in Australia, there's only one name that comes to mind. And I'm reckoning you're thinking the same one I am right now. So we'll have to wait and see. I've got a sneaking suspicion there'll be a death involved in the family before that one ever comes to court. But what comes out after that death will shock everybody. I'll just have a bit of a scan down here and see if there's anybody got any questions. Pegs, you've got the right idea there. Don't have any trust in the government departments. Not a one of them. Yes, we want to know how deep shit we're in thanks to ASIO and AFP. I think that is exactly the questions we need to be asking. And respectfully, you can ask ASIO, you can send a request to the media, you can send a request to the AFP media department and ask them, how much shit are we in? Can you tell us? Why don't you come on Voice of Freedom and have a chat and let everybody know? That'd be great. But I don't encourage millions of you to write to them because they're going to say that I've, spammed them or something. And, it's up to you. We need to be able to ask questions. And if You know, we've asked the question once. The AFP have said they can't facilitate the interview. They refused to give a reason why in that reply. Well, why can't you facilitate an interview? Why don't you want to talk about it? What is there to hide? And okay, if you don't want to talk about it, you don't want to talk about it. Well, that's why I've asked Senator Roberts and Senator Antic to ask about it, because clearly you and I aren't going to be able to get diddly squat out of the AFP about the FBI or Five Eyes. So let's be realistic, okay? It's a lovely thing to say and do, and I will ring Rachel Lee and try and have a conversation with her about getting someone to talk to about this, but odds are I'll just get an answering machine and she'll never reply. So that's my expectation. The AFP have zero respect for the public, in my opinion, zero respect for the public. And I'm no different to you. And even if I've got a show, I am no different to you. They don't see me any differently. They wouldn't see me any differently if I worked on Sky News. They are a law unto themselves. Okay? So don't feel disheartened because the bastards don't want to talk to you or won't take any notice. It's a bit like what the senators are doing. We can't accuse the AFP of not listening to us if we don't ring them up and say, hey, listen to us. You know, I want to know what went on with that whole Alexander Downer, AFP, FBI bullshit thing with Trump. I want to know what happened. How much shit are we in? We have a right to know. But the AFP don't believe we have too many rights anymore. And certainly the government of the day don't believe we have too many rights. So we'll just have to fight on regardless. No, Five Lies. Yeah, Richard, you've named that one. Five Eyes should be renamed Five Lies. I'm pretty confident there are only 3 nations left in it. New Zealand isn't one of them. And I want to say Canada is being kicked out. I've been seeing a lot on UFO disclosure. Public conference in Washington, 10 and 12 June. Stephen Greer, amongst others. Now, I'm pretty impressed about that. That's, pretty impressed about that. I'm only impressed about it. I'm being facetious. Stephen Greer, no, it's a whole other story, but Stephen Greer has been found in photographs with various Rothschilds over the years. So just be a little aware of that. And there is, I'd be very, very wary of anything happening in Washington that wasn't something to do in the Congress. I was reading today how there are trials now happening on evidence is being heard in Gitmo trials from a cell or an underground bunker, if you like, somewhere in Virginia, where witnesses can be called to give that evidence rather than having to go down to Gitmo and do it. There are daily shuttles, and there is a twice daily shuttle to Gitmo. But if you miss the first or the second one, you're there until the next one, and there might be more senior people that need to get on the next one ahead of you, so you could get bumped. So they were finding people stuck in Gitmo for a week just to give evidence for a couple of hours. So they've opened up this other secure facility in Virginia where witnesses can give evidence securely to the trial at Gitmo. Interestingly, it looks like one of the judges has opened up the trial for terrorist charges against one of the Gitmo detainees to be shown publicly. So we'll find out more about that in the coming days. But whether it's big news or not, I don't know. Could be just a distraction. A lot of UFO stuff coming up on social media at the moment. I mean a lot of UFO stuff coming up on social media at the moment. I think the best thing that you can do is take it with a pinch of. Let's face it, if we're going to have orbs flying all around us, there's no point shooting at them. There's no point getting carried away, getting upset. These things have been flying around us. They've been around us for a long, long time, if this is the case. And if they wanted us dead, they would have killed us back then. It's not the invasion they're going to make it seem like. And in fact, it could just be totally CGI. Don't believe what you see on your televisions, folks, particularly out of mainstream media news. It's mostly made up. Really, really, truly, mostly made up. So don't go believing that sort of shit. CGI is a magnificent tool, and they have the best in the business working at it out of the CIA. Okay, I'm just going to scroll down here a little bit more. Jamie Dimond, yeah, I've heard that he's going to expose the Epstein crimes fairly soon. We will wait and see. A lot of people have said they've got access to the true documents, but a lot of people say a lot of things in my experience. Now, this is interesting. As Schofield UK disclosed and our war criminal soldier revealed, you'd be speaking about Ben Roberts-Smith there, I gather. PricewaterhouseCoopers, it seems clear protected agents no longer protected. That could just be exactly what it is. Yeah, for those of you who missed the show the other night, PricewaterhouseCoopers is under a great deal of pressure at the moment too. One of Australia's big four accounting companies, 9 directors given their marching orders for holidays indefinitely while investigations are being held. And there is going to be a lot more coming out of that PwC investigation, I think. Yep, YouTube have had a change. Let's see how well that works. Thanks, Expanded Awareness. You're doing all my news bits that I didn't get up to today. I read this, but I didn't get the bit. So, yes, we are now allowed to talk about the 2020 US election, and we're allowed to say that the result is potentially in doubt. There has been many claims of fraud and many other claims of corruption and collusion around that election, and that Donald Trump had it stolen from him. I think I've said every trigger word now that the algorithm will need to have this show pulled. Now, I don't know where they're going to pull it from. None2K, my normal and largest YouTube channel, will come back online in 4 days' time. But I have a second, or if you like, a third strike backed up behind it. They didn't give me the third strike, otherwise I wouldn't be on that platform anymore. But it remains to be seen in 4 days whether or not I'll just get another 2 weeks suspended off None2K, or it might be back on. So look for us toward the end of next week. Maybe we'll see whether or not we're back on None2K. But in the meantime, please go and check out all the other channels. There are a few of them floating around. The Voice of Freedom on YouTube and Voice of Freedom on YouTube. And then there is Ozeye, O-Z-E-Y-E, or the Voice of Freedom on Rumble as well. Now, the Telegram channel is, well, something I've had for a while, but I haven't really got into. I'm told I have to get into it a lot more. So I'm going to get into it a lot more. That's it. Telegram, Voice of Freedom Real is how you'll get that. And join it. Please do. We've got 600 or 700 subscribers there already. I'm going to start doing a lot more into that Telegram chat, which will be happening, well, ongoing from now. Speaking of things ongoing from now, and I've got to tell you, just can't thank you enough, those of you who've already joined as members for the Voice of Freedom to help us on the road. I want to try and give our members something back, the people who are helping me. I'd like to give you a little something back. And yes, it will be a little something, but it will be something to begin with. And that's a 10-ounce bar of silver. Now, we are going to run a competition, and the details for this competition will go up on the webpage early this week. I've just got to nut them out with Vince, hopefully tomorrow, and we will post up the competition details. Now, it will have to be a competition. It can't just be draw your member name out of a hat and give you the bar of silver. Unfortunately, that requires a lot more oversight and government administration and pain in the arsedness. So we are going to take the easy route, and that means that you have to be a little bit creative. So what that might mean, and I'm only throwing ideas around here because Vince, after all, I take a great deal of advice from Vince, and he's a big part of the Voice of Freedom, so he should have a say in all of this. But I'm starting to think we need to have a limerick competition, a freedom limerick competition, but maybe the freedom limerick has to mention certain things like the Voice of Freedom, like maybe Ainsley Bullion, who'll be donating the 10 ounces of silver, which is magnificent of them. And thank you to Paul. We'll get Paul to be the judge of said competition. But I'm leaning towards a limerick contest that, you know, has to mention maybe gold or silver, or both. Ainsley, Voice of Freedom, and, you know, it has to be about freedom in general, fighting for us, or community. Community is another good one. Maybe that's another good one. So anyway, we'll have the list of words up that you'll have to use a certain number of in your limerick if you are going to stand a chance to win. And a 10-ounce bar of silver is nothing to be sneezed at. I want to say it's worth 400 odd bucks. So that's more than I've got in the bank in the moment. So I'd be very happy to win that as well. I won't be able to win it. Just point that out. But it'll only be members who can win it. So if you aren't a member and you'd like a chance with the limerick competition, then go over to Voice of Freedom right now, vofhq.com, and sign up to be a member. And then next week you'll be able to log in as a member and put your entry securely in. So unless Vince has got a better idea, I'm still leaning towards the limerick thing. I quite like limericks. We can read a few of them out every night. And over the course of the month, we'll get as many in as we can. And we will end the contest on the 30th of June and draw it in the days after, you know, in the first week of July, at the convenience of Paul from Ainsley. I'll go in there and we'll film that if you like. And then we will be able to send your bar directly to you once we contact you. But you'll only be able to be contacted if you are a member. And the only way to be a member is to go into the website and join, vofhq.com. If you don't want to be a member, but you wouldn't mind flinging us a few dollars, then you can hit the donate button there too, folks. And thank you to anybody who decides to do that. It goes to keeping us on the road. And we are about to try and hit the road again, of course, heading north and south. I know, not at the same time. It would be a splitting experience. But with a little bit of luck, we'll have John on the road up north very soon and heading up to, well, all parts between Brisbane and Cooktown, I think, is basically the plan. So, yeah, it's going to be pretty wild. Yeah, Keith, I'm with you. The Great Awakening is certainly coming on its way. The comics is down to 28 million ounces. That's interesting, Richard. One to keep watching. That was my feeling too, Angela. 100%. When Koshi goes, there's something on the nose. So, yeah. Too bad employees with ITV. Fred the weatherman's involved. Jeez. I don't know. Could be the whole lot yet. ITV will be dead by the end of next week. Hi, Chad. Didn't see you in here earlier. Nice to see you in, mate. Hope things go well in Cambodia. What happened to the TV shows? Yeah, good question. Very good question from the Larrikins. After hours, we could use those, I would have thought. Don't you? Bloody oath. Move in and have a go. Sounds like we're describing the Three Stooges. Well, if you've seen the Galactic Larrikins and I running around, it's sort of a bit like the Three Stooges, although everybody's curly. Yeah. Yeah, Keefe, there is a David Koch on the list going on the Lolita Express. It is unclear if it is the Australian David Koch. There are other David Koches, but it is, yeah, possible, I suppose. Yeah, Bill, good pick here. Bill Greer, Stephen Greer, rather, has been at it for years and gotten nowhere. He has given some very high-level briefings, and I've watched a lot of Stephen Greer's stuff. I really want to believe. But then I've seen a number of pictures with him hanging around with with the nefarious side of things. So that doesn't mean what he says is untrue. It just means that he may have some ulterior motives that aren't just rooted in bringing the truth to us about extraterrestrials. Yeah, Red Netflix, try that one. Trump won the 2020 election. Yep, I don't know. I reckon should have hit enough triggers in that algorithm by now to really upset it. And thank you, Elizabeth. Yeah, I'd like to give you a lot more. Unfortunately, only so many hours in the day, and only so much ability. So I'd like to give you a lot more. I'd like to give us all a lot more. VoF community. I like that, Richard. I like that. That might be a couple of words we will definitely include. I'll be writing those down. Vince and I will have this chat tomorrow, I hope, and we will have details tomorrow night or Tuesday. Sorry, I beg your pardon, Monday night or Tuesday for you. Also going to be having a chat with Emily, and I'm not sure. Well, I'm pretty confident it's going to be Nick Ragone. So Emily and Nick Ragone from QSI will come on the show at some point, I hope, in the coming week. They're trying to get their diaries together and figure out a time zone that we can all be happy with. And they are happy to come on and talk QSI, and any of the questions that I have or that you might have for them, then by all means, send them to me. So if you have a question for QSI, put that in the subject line, QSI question, and then just make your question brief. I don't need to hear a whole history. Just need to know what your question is, and I will make sure that we get those questions up to Emily and Nick when they come through. But I'm led to believe that they are open to answering any and all questions, and at the moment they are fairly busy. I guess we're all busy. I've been told now for the better part of a week that they're going to come and join me. So just waiting for the message to say, hey, listen, we're coming to join you. The longer it goes, the less hope I've got, really, if I'm honest. But yeah. I see the Galactic Larrikin has begun his limerick. There was a young man from Nantucket. I don't know how you're going to mention Voice of Freedom after that, but good luck. Yeah, the debt ceiling has been reached, yeah, but they've signed the agreement. So something's gone on in the background because McCarthy and Biden signed an agreement last night or early this morning, our time, and now the debt ceiling will not be breached. There will be money funded from the 5th of June, which was when they were going to run out of money, and life is back to normal in the Congress. What concessions were made by Biden? Some considerable ones, I'm led to believe. A lot of spending has been trimmed, a lot of spending. So a lot of programs that Biden was hoping to hang his hat on, that too has been trimmed. And of course, there are some magnificent memes. I didn't have time to rip it and show it to you tonight. But of course, if you haven't seen him at the Marine Passing Out Parade, I think it was, where he's got completely lost walking onto the stage, given a mumbling address, and then as some of those presented with their paperwork, their award, if you like, as they're marching out, he goes to walk off the wrong side of the stage, stumbles over his own feet and falls flat on his face. Seriously, there is some weird shit going on there at the moment with him. Richard, sorry, I'm trying to interpret this. Not buy VIX at $15 at the same time, sell the QQQ, check Target and Costco. Okay, I must be reading half a conversation there, so I apologize. Yes, Karl Stefanovic. Interesting times for him. No sign of him going. No, not that there was of Koshy, but the industry had sort of been expecting Koshy to go from last year. And I see today Channel 7 has pumped out some fluff stories about Matt Shervington and how Koshy stayed around to give Matt, more time to get into the seat and that kind of thing. I've actually heard that Dr. Chris Brown is going to walk into the seat at Sunrise, not Matt Shervington. But that could be wrong. He is leaving or has left Channel 10 after however many successful seasons with I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, or whatever it is. What is it? Celebrity in the Jungle thing? Never watched it. And what are Channel 7 going to do? Put on another vet TV show? So it would need to be an attractive package to get him over, one would have thought. And I would have thought that Sunrise beside Natalie Barr, he'd come up pretty well. She'd be pretty happy about that. There should be a bit of chemistry there. They've known each other for years. Would be a good fit. But they might be going with Matt. And after all, for those of us who have ever seen Matt Shervington, if you are too young to remember Matt Shervington as a sprinter, can I highly recommend that you go and watch what I think was one of the most stunning bits of directorial decision-making I've ever seen in a sport. Watching Matt Shervington run the 100 metres from a front-on position in his onesie. I just, wow. All I can say is, no, I'm not going to say that because these days it could go either way. You don't know who was directing, male or female back in the day. Either way, they would have enjoyed it. What happened to Cougar Watch? Haven't seen it lately. Well, I don't know. I don't have to go. I don't go there. So I don't know what they're doing. Got no idea. I have had the odd occasion to email Cougar Watch, and I must say the replies are much less filled with hate, which is good. She contacted me about the QSI thing, and I hooked her up with Vince. She had some information she wanted to share when Vince was doing his investigation there, and I've got to say she was quite helpful in that. I've since had a conversation with her about all of that, and I've asked her the same question. Where is the victim? Show me the victim. And we've agreed to disagree. She agrees that she can't show me the victim, but she also seems to think that it's because I'm being too narrow in my definition of what the victim is. So I'd said to her, would you use any definition of victim you like and go away and come back and show me one of them? That's all I need. But just don't change the definition of victim and what we're doing. But that's something I don't think that she's been able to do yet. I haven't received an email that says she has. And that is still the question for me when it comes to QSI. Show me the victim. I have not had one person all this week come back to me and say, oh, yes, I put this money in, I followed their directions, and I lost money. I haven't had one person say they've lost money, full stop. But I do know that people do. Vince was one of them because he saw the tip, went and bought it through his own mechanism, not through the QSI group, and then watched the price plunge. However, I'm sure he wouldn't mind me telling you that he watched that stock price or that asset price and put a sell order on it when it got to $1.50 or whatever it was. Anyway, he made half an XLM on the whole deal. He was very happy. But if you are one of those people who is prepared to sit down and watch a screen all day and watch the green line move up or down and pick that exact right moment to sell that stock or that asset, then great. But my advice to you would be go in through the group, hang on to the asset. You're not being advised through the group to sell the asset. The only time an asset loses value is if you try and sell it for less than you bought it for. Then you realize that loss. Well, don't try and sell it. There's no point in selling it if you're going to realize a loss. Hang on to it, just in case. Because from what I've seen, from what I have understand now, and from what I do believe, and yes, there is an element of faith involved in that. I do believe that when the quantum reset, the financial reset happens, liquidity will flow via Protocol 20 into those assets. And so tokens that have 0.00007 cents worth right now will certainly be worth a lot more than that. I don't know how much more. Would depend on the asset, I suppose. But that is my understanding of what will happen. Those assets, those tokens, will get liquidity flushed into them, and there will be an element of wealth to that. Whether that's staggering wealth, stonking wealth, I don't know. Not my interest at the end of the day. I'm interested to see that people get sorted and get looked after. And if this is the way that it works, yip-yah, we're all on a winner. But at this point in time, I cannot find a victim, and Cooker Watch has been unable to provide one. So, and so too, for that matter, has Brownie or anybody else who's sent me a whole heap of info. Thank you to everybody who sent me both the good side and the bad side of their opinion of QSI. I read them all, and they are beneficial. They give me a different perspective to think about things from. But in every case, from those who are saying scam, 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 there is no evidence. There is only hearsay. There is vague allusions to money lost overseas and suicides. But when you try and dig into that story in particular, it dies a very mysterious death, unlike the person it's about. No, I can't find anything that remotely equates to a victim yet. Always happy to receive emails if that's the case. Carl at vofhq.com. But have a victim. And to be a victim, you must have followed the QSI way of doing things to the letter and lost. Because that's the only way that you could be classed a victim. If you went off and got the QSI information and did something else with it outside of their advice or their education, and you lost, then that's more your fault than anybody else's. Unfortunately, it might be, a desire to go and blame them, but it's certainly not their fault. All right, expanded awareness. Tell me, Stephen Greer says there are no negative ETs, all man-made psyops. Goes against the neg factions we hear about. No, I don't believe they're all love and light, that's for sure. And I certainly don't believe that there are no negative ET types, for the want of a better term. Sorry, Sunflower. I've gone to a few places I didn't want to tonight. And to that end, I probably am going to go because I've spoken longer for what I thought I would for this fine evening. I just wanted to let you know that we were still alive, and the last couple of days have had its challenges for us, but Laura's pushing on. She's doing good. Wow. Okay, Richard, that's one to share with us. Banks are offering 2% interest, 1 month treasury bonds, 6% from the Fed. That's why the bank runs are happening in America. So money's moving to treasuries and metals. Yep. Thanks, Richard. That is really interesting news. And that will be a driving factor. That's a great way to drive people into metal in the States. And it will happen here too, folks. If you're not already in it, get in it. If you've got a few shekels spare, then my suggestion would be gold and silver. I'm not going to tell you to go and get crypto. I'm going to tell you to get gold or silver. I personally go to Ainsley because they're close to me. And Paul, lovely bloke, and he's going to help us out here with the Voice of Freedom and giving away a 10-ounce bar of silver. So if you happen to be in Melbourne or Brisbane and you're looking for gold and silver, Ainsley Bullion are in both places, and I couldn't recommend them highly enough. But there are plenty of other bullion dealers floating around that might be closer to you. Go and give them hit them up and make sure you get the best deal on the day. There are... the price is usually, it's not a negotiable thing. There is a spot price given, buy and a sell price, and that's measured, I think, every 3 minutes or every 60 seconds or something. It gets updated. So you'll get the best deal. Just make sure you head along And if you have to get your super out to be involved in this, then of course, Cass Smith and the team from Freedom Financial Services can help you out with that. If you email me, carl@vofhq.com, I will send your details through to Cass, and she'll send you an info pack that will give you a breakdown on everything that you need to do to tick all the boxes to get a self-managed super fund and get your super out of Big Super and turn it into a metal that has and will not only continue to have but appreciate in value. That'd be gold, silver, maybe platinum too, if that's the way you're doing it. Appy, I'm Carl with a C, just in case you're interested. The classic German style or not. Some say the K is the classic German style. I don't know. My parent was German, but maybe they rebelled and put the C in because that was the Aussie angle. I don't know. Yep, but I am Carl with a C. Okay. G'day, Scott. Nice to have you in, mate. Better late than never, as you say. Yeah, Bill, never a victim when you're making a donation. You have no charge over your money once you donate it. None. Good on you, Phil. All right, folks, I'm going to leave it there. Seems like everybody's having a good night. I hope your weekend is really good. Unless something earth-shattering happens tomorrow, I won't do a show tomorrow night. Be back Monday night. I hope next week to organise Des and Des back from the Rockhampton Anti-Discrimination Council. Really keen to get those two guys back in to chat more. I've actually had some conversations this week while I've been out and about with people about them who've seen that interview, and they're very keen to keep up more. So, Melody, I'll be giving you a call. Have no fear, and we'll line that up for one day next week. I've made a couple of calls to Lumpo to find out what's going on there. Phone rings out. I left a message, so I guess when he gets back, we will get a call from him or we won't. Don't know. Failing that, keep up the good fight, folks. I want you to bear in mind, and at every opportunity, if you possibly can, have a think about how we might be able to best ask our government and our federal agencies how they can go on trusting the FBI, given the Five Eyes arrangement and the lies that have been obviously told. So blatantly told and so easily shown up inside the Durham report. If you haven't seen the Durham report yet, and it really is only relating to one small part of the last 8 years, but it is entirely surrounding the 2020 Russia collusion scandal and all of that, and it links into certain other areas as well. Highly recommend you read it if you are up for, well, it's a dry read, I'll admit you, but it's better than hanging out on the road with the dickheads. What can I say?
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay? Let's ride!